Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the SEEKREAL Dawn. This is yet another IEM from this company, SEEKREAL. They've given us, they started by giving us the airship, which was a single DD, which I've got over there, which I'll be talking to you about it in a few seconds. And then they introduced us to the Fusion, which was a 1+4, and then the Proser, which is a tribrid. And now their latest IEM is the Dawn, which is what I have in front of me right now. And what is a Dawn? The Dawn is a 1+1 hybrid using an SPD Planar driver. So it's using a Planar driver which is the same as the Planar driver used by the Celest Gumiho, by the Celest Gumiho, and there's going to be a few others in the coming weeks, but for now it's the same as the Celest Gumiho. So it's by roughly a 10mm square driver, coupled with a BA, because these SPD drivers, they don't have a lot of extension, which is typical for planar drivers. They don't have that ability to be as extended, and as such they have to be complemented by a BA. So they've basically done what Celest did with the Gumiho. Okay, this is the box, very under the radar kind of presentation. Simple box with a little logo on the front. Inside we have this little product warranty card, and then everything that basically you need, which are plenty of tips. Okay, plenty of tips, little instruction manual. The IEMs came over there. Brings the typical, the usual case that SEEKREAL has gotten us used to it, and I'll show it to you in a second. Let me just put this away. Alright, there we go. So it brings this this case, this very simple basic case, nothing too out of the ordinary. Nice, simple, small, easy to carry around. And then the IEM itself. I'm using the stock cable. It was a nice enough cable, so I decided to stick with it. Silver plated, 4.4mm termination, and the IEMs themselves have a shape which is reminiscent, first of all, to its other sibling, the airship, but also very reminiscent to the Blonde 05s. So those of you that remember those, this kind of shape rimline, it's very similar. What else can I tell you? That's basically it. In terms of the quality of the construction, it's flawless. It's an all metal shell, sturdy. It's really nicely put together. Very nicely two-pin connector, slightly recessed. What else? In terms of the fit, it fits nicely. It's just the nozzle length that is a little bit short, and as such could be some bit of an issue for some people. In my case, I was eventually able to find the right tip that works, which is again this KBER 07 medium sized tip. This was the one that gave me the best results. These ones and the medium sized, but in the more normal 08. These are on 07. The other ones are 08. Anyway, I'll show you the graphs in a second, and you'll see what I'm saying. According to them and to the literature, they mentioned that the Dawn is capable of a very high quality base, which I can confirm, and that the mids and highs have also been done equally, equally well, with good extension and so on. I also confirm that is true, that they are very clean, very detailed. However, there's a little however, and I'll get into that in a few minutes. Well, just now, I'll get to it now. What do I have here? Well, I have the Gumiho, and the Gumiho is basically the same thing. It's also using a 10mm SPD square planar driver, also using a BA. And when I show you the tuning in a minute as well, you'll see that they are very, very similar, up to about 1.5, 2K. They graph exactly the same, okay? After that, that's where we have some differences. On the Gumiho, we have it peaking at around 2K. This peaks at about the same, but at a higher level. Excuse me, perhaps another 2-3 dBs higher, maybe a little bit more, maybe even as much as 4 dBs, a little bit higher than that. And then this has a bit of a plateau between that 2 and 4.5, more or less. Then it dips, and then it peaks up again at around the usual coupler related peak. But there's energy there. It's not only the coupler that's doing that peak. Then it comes down again and has a little bit more extension past 10K. This has that initial peak, as I mentioned, at around 2K, which is about 3 dBs higher than that, more or less, and then it gradually comes down before having a more significant dip around just around the coupler, more or less, and then peaks up again. All in all, I would say that the signature of this is kind of a harmonish signature. With nice warm bass and very energetic highs. Actually, when I heard the Dawn for the first time, I was immediately reminded of the PR1, the hi-fi version. Why the hi-fi version from KZ? Well, because in that one you can actually notice all that energy that is present in the mids and in the highs, and that extension that it has, which over here is also present. Where are then the differences? Well, the differences are simple. The differences is that there in the KZ is a real planar driver, and that extension is all coming from that driver, and over here that extension is coming from the BA. What this translates to is that both of them have their typical timbres associated with it, but the timbre or the tonality that we get from excuse me guys, from the BA here is more noticeable and is of a lesser quality. Let's say we can say that this is a little bit rougher sounding as compared to the PR1. But anyway, the PR1 is not my comparison. My comparison here is with the Celest Gumiho, and we are talking roughly $170, $180 for this, and about $60, a little bit lower for this. I've also got here the SEEKREAL airship, which is basically the same price as that as well. This is a single DD, supposedly a CNT driver, with a tuning that's very reminiscent of the tuning of the let's say the Olin ASE, the tuning of the Oxygen, that kind of tuning. Straight away, and okay, fair enough. Yes, the accessories that the Dawn brings are superior to the accessories of the Gumiho. Yes, the shell is a nicer quality shell, all metal. This is a plastic shell in essence. But the truth is that this is roughly $60. This is $180. So we're talking 3 times a price hike. Is there 3 times in it? No, there isn't. If I actually have to go back a little bit and compare this with the airship, I'll take the airship. The airship is, in my opinion, an overall superior IEM. It's not cheap as well for a single DD, even though it is a high quality single DD, and I said exactly that in my review. But it's a very competitive market right now. So but anyway, between the two of them, the one that's more that makes more sense with regards to its value is definitely the airship. The Dawn is a good IEM. I'm not going to say it isn't a good IEM. It's a more polished version of the Gumiho. Let's put it that way. Bass is equally the same, as I mentioned. Mids are more open, more detailed. But the fact that it has that peak at just around 2K, and that peak being a little bit higher than what it is in the Gumiho, has brought with it a negative aspect, which is the fact that when you start really pushing the volume, it can become a little bit, it's touching on the harsh. So that 2K peak makes itself very well known, very felt, and it's more pronounced precisely because the areas adjacent to it are both subdued. So you notice that kind of like a sore tooth. And yes, in terms of its scalability, this doesn't scale as well as it could possibly scale because of that very prominent energy that you find there at 2K, and it kind of just makes things a little bit shouty. It's a little bit too much. On the other hand, yes, at lower volumes, or if you don't have a higher powered device. And I mean, this connected to the phone actually didn't work bad. It didn't work bad, although of course once I used my dongles and I actually powered it up properly, it completely changed the dynamics. Excuse me. And even said aggressiveness that I mentioned at 2K, even that was more controlled and more subdued. So it benefits from having some power, and it benefits as well from a warmer sounding source connected to, for example, the iBasso or the TK2. It sounds more vivid, while when I connected it to the AKM, the AP90 or the UA3, it sounds warmer. Funny enough, and this is a situation which has already happened before, connected to the M15, which is also an ESS stack, it also lets the Dawn come across as a little bit more tame in that area, in that particular part of the spectrum. As I was saying, in terms of the bass, they're basically the same. There's nothing that can be said. You will notice maybe you will notice that this can seem a little bit more warmer because it isn't as energetic at around 2K, as I was saying. But then the rest, I'm going to give it all to the Dawn. So even though it doesn't scale as well as that because of what I've mentioned before, it's a more open sound. It's a sound that tries to simulate a little bit better what a planar is. Planars are known for that openness in the sound, that ability to have a lot of detail, and and in the Gumiho, we didn't really get that. What we got was a sound that was more reminiscent of a good DD, and I mean, I like the Gumiho. I really do. It is a fantastic IM, honestly, fantastic, and I can't wait to see what will come out. What Canera will bring out in future usages of the SPD driver. But when I compare it to the Dawn, and this is not an issue of one is better than the other or one is worse. No, it's it sounds a little bit darker. It sounds a little bit tamer, which at the end of the day, honestly, is actually a more pleasing sound than what this is, especially because over here you can crank it up without running the risk of things getting out of hand or out of bounds and things just going all over the place, while over here you reach a point in the volume where you have to say, okay, I'm not going to go any higher because if I do, it's going to start getting aggressive. But as I mentioned, obviously at low to medium volume levels, this does sound more detailed than that. The vocals are slightly more open, more. There's more micro nuances. There's more like I say, twinklies and sparklies. Okay. In terms of its technical capabilities, this as well has got better detail retrieval than that. Soundstage a little bit better than that. Not a big difference. Imaging as well, also again a little bit better than that. Tonally, the timbre and the tonality, I'm going to give it to the Gumiho. Price, I give it to the Gumiho. And yeah, that basically kind of summarizes everything. So just to do a quick recap, technically wise, it is I would say superior to the Gumiho, but just slightly, not dramatically superior. Where it does lose to the Gumiho is in terms of its tonality. Here the tonality and the timbre are fake to a certain extent. It's pushed. It's not unpleasant, but it's pushed, while over here it's very natural. It's very real, very authentic. Okay. Perhaps at times maybe just a little bit more zing would be welcomed, while over here you got plenty of that up to about mid volume, and then only when you really crank it, things don't scale as nicely, so it gets a little bit messy. In terms of the fit, they both fit well. Ergonomically, they're both fine. The biggest drawback, I think, to the Dawn's success will be its price. I mean, $180 is a lot of money. I think that if maybe this had been priced at around $120, give or take, it would have made it a more interesting proposition, because, I mean, at this price, who's is cheaper. Superior IEM if you want a real planar. S12 Pro, again cheaper and superior. And I'm not even mentioning the KZs. I mean, the PR1, the hi-fi version, fantastic IM for the $60 odd that it costs. There's a new one coming out now, the PR1 Pro, which supposedly has made things more balanced out. So, there's a lot of IEMs which are able to do a better job than what Dawn does. And even compared to its own sibling, the Airship, I honestly would take the Airship. The Airship has got one or two little things that are not ideal, okay, but in equal ground, the Airship is a superior IM. And that's it, guys. I'll show you the graphs now quickly. And yeah, this wasn't going to be a very difficult IM to review, because the moment I heard it, the one that immediately jumped to mind was straight away the Gumiho. I could see a lot of Gumiho DNA in it, and I don't know. I'm not saying that Chimera makes the Gumiho. I'm not saying that Chimera makes the Dawn, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some commonality of where these two IEMs are made or coming from, because the genes do show that. Like I said, I'll show you the graphs now next, and we carry on afterwards. Take care. See you just now. Hey guys, and as I said, welcome to my graph section for the SEEKREAL Dawn. This is this first graph that I'm showing you is a graph of the Dawn using the wide bore KB ear tip in medium size, and straight away, as you can see, it's got a little bit of a mid-bass bump here, a little bit of a roll-off into the sub-bass. But in terms of how it transitions then into the mids, it's non-offensive in my opinion. I mean, the bleed that exists is very minimal. It's actually got a nice... if this had been a DD doing this, you'd feel more that bleed. In this case, you don't really feel it. It's got a nice, clean, punchy bass. It's very pleasurable. It's then this peak, which is just before 2K, that is the problem here. And when I, for example, put the Gumiho, you see straight away what I mean. The Gumiho is exactly the same in the bass, but the Gumiho, there's like a 3-4 dB difference here. And then the Gumiho still has that nice dip here, that around 4.5 to 5K, so reduces any possibility of sibilance. Then the coupler related peak plus some non-coupler related peak, and then some energy past that. So excuse me, when I compare the two, this here is the sawtooth. This immediately jumps out. It's not the past 2K and the before 2K that's the issue. It's this 2K peak here, which is a little bit it's a little bit too much when you start increasing the volume, let's put it that way. Okay, if I compare it with the narrow bore tip, okay, this is the narrow bore tip on the SEEKREAL. It very much maintains itself the same, although not as linear. If you notice here, with the KBA tip, it's more linear. All right. It gains a little bit of energy past around 10K, and still maintains that peak there that you see. Honestly, listening to both usages of, with both versions of the tip, you can't really see or hear, let's put it that way, any huge differences. Compared to the Gumiho, yes, you do notice that the Gumiho is comparatively darker, obviously because, first of all, this lack of energy that is existing here, and the energy that the Dawn has over here, which the Gumiho doesn't have. So these two things contribute for the Dawn sounding more open, more detailed, yes, definitely, but at the cost of it not being an IM that scales as nicely. And like I mentioned a few minutes ago, I think the biggest problem of the Dawn is its price. I mean, $180 is not exactly pocket money. And with the amount of offerings that you have at that price, it doesn't really offer anything that you can say is a value, is a strong enough argument to justify choosing this over the other planars. And like I mentioned, even I would choose the airship over this. I'll actually just show you the graph quickly of the airship so you guys can actually have an idea. SEEKREAL. There we go. Okay. And now let's just align the two of them. I'll actually also change the color. There we go. And now align them. There we go. Straight away, when you do listen to them, you notice that there's just a tinge more sub-bass. That actually, it's not over here that in the mid bass is not where it lies. The difference is in the sub-bass. So there's a little bit more rumble to the airship that the Dawn doesn't have. And then the fact that the airship obviously is peaking at past 2K, around 2.5K, then maintaining itself nicely plateaued. This translates to much nicer quality mids, more realistic, more tonally correct mids. Let's put it that way. Okay, the BA plasticness is noticeable here. Anyway, guys, as always, like and subscribe. If there's any other questions that you would like me to try and answer, please feel free to ask. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.